Right now, the question that everyone in crypto is asking themselves is the cycle over or not? Some people believe that we're going to have an extended cycle. Some believe that we're going to end on track, and some believe that the all-time high is already in. So in today's video, we're going to be discussing that because I think the question that we're all asking ourselves is the wrong one. And instead of trying to guess the top to get out at the highest price possible, we really should just be building a plan if we're of the belief that we're closer to the end than we are to the beginning. So in today's video, I'm going to go over some higher time frame analysis and just give you my idea and tell you a little bit about my personal plan and how I'm planning to navigate the rest of this year. So if you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. I'm Annie and this is Trade Travel Chill. Be sure to hit that like button nice and early and hit subscribe if you're not already subscribed so that you can be notified every time I upload a new video. Now I'm going to get started with Bitcoin on the daily chart to give you my thoughts on the current price action with Bitcoin. So far over this weekend, we're having a little bit of a move to the upside, which on small time frames, it looks really good, but on a high time frame, it really hasn't done anything all too special. I've got some key areas here that I've marked with 117,700 being a key area to the upside and 102 to the 104 range being a key area to the downside. The reason why I've marked those two areas is because of the high level heat map orders currently. You can see up here that there are significant orders waiting to short Bitcoin at that 117K area, but there is also another area at 113. It's not as large, but if we can get through that 113 area, then obviously we have this level here as a resistance at 115.5. And then finally, if we get through that 117,700. Below price, this is the range here, which is the 104 to the 102. That's my most immediate area of interest if we end up breaking to the downside, but we could go lower. There are still orders at 100K and there's also orders all the way down at 92,000, which just to say it again, 100K is my line in the sand. If I feel like Bitcoin is heading close towards 100K and the price action at the time looks like it's going to break that level, I'm out because I personally would rather sell my spot Bitcoin in the 6 figures than let it go down into the 5 figures, hope it bounces there and then the bull market continues. Because if it goes down into the 5 figures, I can always get back in if I believe that the cycle is continuing after that. However, if I don't sell and we go down into the 5 figures, get a lower high and the bear market begins, that's it. I've lost my chance. So I, to be clear, have already been taking profit. I'm taking profit slowly over time. I believe in slowly DCAing in the right part of the cycle and slowly DCAing out in the right part of the cycle. And so that's what I've been doing. And these here is my sell time frame, which I've been through on another video, so I won't go through it again. But my first period of selling was through here, and we are currently in my second period of selling. I'm not so sure if I'll push it all the way to the third period because that goes into January 2026. I have to wait and see how price develops. But going back to the daily chart, we know we have these two key levels, and price has reclaimed the daily time frame 200 EMA a number of times. That's great. The bad news is that we've rejected the daily time frame 50 EMA also a number of times. So when price is between the 200 and the 50 EMA on any time frame, that's usually like a no trade zone. It's kind of chop until price breaks one of those EMA. And so really on the higher time frame, that's all I'm looking for. I'm waiting to see which EMA we break first. If we break below the 200 EMA, we may spike back into these long orders. And if we do something like that, that doesn't mean it's over and scary. It's possible that's the second side of a W formation, and then we potentially continue up from there, pending this level actually holding. That's kind of worst case scenario. But if we're going to continue up from here, then we have to be looking out for what happens at around the 117. If we get weakness there, we could be coming down to these lower levels of liquidity that are still there as well. Now, do I think the all-time high is in? I think there's a possibility it's in, but I also think that if there is another all-time high coming, I'm very, very suspicious that that will be a fake out. And let me explain why. When we have a look at the price action on the daily time frame, when we're counting our levels that we do in the TBD system, you can see here that since Bitcoin retraced to the 75K region, we had one push through here, which is our level 1 rise. Then we went into our consolidation and we went up to the level 2 rise. And essentially all of this is the consolidation after level 2. So if it's going to play out in 3 levels, which is not guaranteed, and I'll explain why in a second, but if it's going to play out in 3 levels, then we would believe that there is a new all-time high coming. Although levels don't necessarily mean increase in price, they mean increase in volume. So it's very possible that we don't get an all-time high. We just come up, create a lower high and head down. But in this movement to the upside, the volume comes in. So I'm really looking for 2 scenarios to tell me that the cycle is over for Bitcoin. And that is a lower high on volume that potentially keeps trap traders trapped. So it might be that it keeps these trap traders trapped right here. Or the second scenario is we break through that, potentially go up into this high level of liquidity. This goes up to around the 138 area, but that turns out to be a fake out, and that's the cycle top there. So that's what I'm personally looking for. Now, what happens if we end up breaking through that zone? Well, then I'll reassess that at the time. But for now, I have to build a plan based on the current price action and the liquidity. And so therefore, that's my plan, is if it looks like we're going to go below 100K, I'm out. Otherwise, every peak formation that forms between now and wherever the cycle top is also a take profit zone for me personally. Now, the reason why I'm not banking on a level 3 rise on the daily time frame is because of what happened last cycle. Now, if you were around last cycle, you will remember that we actually had 2 peaks, right? Which was the first time that the cycle was a little bit different to prior cycles where we're used to getting blow off tops. But in this cycle, we actually had 2 peaks. Now, on the first peak, our 3 levels were fairly clear. It doesn't look that clear on this chart because it's not stretched out enough. But basically, this through here was the rise level 1 on the daily. This through here was the rise level 2. And then this through here was the rise level 3 that ended in the rising bearish wedge formation. So you can see that wedge right here, right? And so once it broke down and gave the lower high, that was the hint that that part was over for now. We went into a 2-month correction where everybody sat there not knowing if it was over or not. And then we started again and everybody got massively excited. However, in this second phase, you can see here that we only had a level 1 rise, a retrace, a level 2, which was the fake out because it only peaked a little bit higher than this top here, which would have induced the very late longers. Now, if you weren't around for this, let me tell you what it was like emotionally. First of all, once we broke down, we went into major uncertainty. During this period here, it was really divided 50-50, kind of like what it is right now, where some people believe it's over and some people believe extended cycle. This is just the shakeout before an epic blow off top, right? That's how it was. And then when we started to take off, all the people who believed that the cycle weren't over started cheering and screaming, and YouTube went crazy and everyone's like, I told you we're back. And at this point in time, that's when everyone started saying minimum 100K, titles of 250K target, $1 million Bitcoin came. And that was the major hype that was building through here. So then when we actually broke this high, which we only broke by a couple $1,000s, that's when retail panicked and went in extra heavy, because that was in their mind, that was their confirmation that, yeah, we're going to 100K because now we're above this level. And it was the ultimate trap because it was a fake out essentially. It went up and it ended, and that really was the end of the cycle right there. But what you can see here is that this was only 2 level rises, and what ended it was the final damage M formation. So when I have a look at the current price action and I see that there's only 2 level rises, this is why I don't feel personally, and I've spoken to a lot of my friends behind the scenes about this, and a lot of people are trying to push the price or push their selling to as late as possible, having high targets or having even time targets where they're not selling until a certain date or they're not selling until a certain price. Those are the things that can trap you, because price isn't going to go to a level just because you believe that it should, you know? And if you have a super high target, let's just say you believe Bitcoin's going to 150K and you're like, I'm not going to sell till 150. Well, what if it never gets there, you know? So just like when you get into anything, you buy in slowly over time. It's the same on the way out. You should be selling slowly over time. And so for me personally, for all of the reasons that I've shown you, I'm not banking on a level 3 rise to give me a new all-time high. I'm also not completely selling out where I won't capitalize on that if we are lucky enough to get one. So for me, every move to the upside is an area for me to take spot profit, which is what this video is about. I know normally we talk about day trading, but I feel that it's important to put this video out now because there simply are no guarantees, you know? Even when we have a look at the RSI down here, when I zoom out on this for most of this current cycle, you can see every time we came into the oversold region, even starting from, the 26K area, that's where we had significant moves to the upside. Here as well was in this period of time here, significant move to the upside. Now we look like we're heading towards it, but we're not quite there yet. And so part of me is, again, like I said, I'm open to the idea of one more move to the downside that does give us that oversold and then we go up. However, if that one more move to the downside breaks 100K, I'm personally not risking it because, like I said to you, I would rather take profit in the six figures and I can always get back in. If we drop to 90, if we drop to 80, like whatever, I don't know, 95, doesn't matter. The number doesn't matter. The movement at the time matters. And so if we break 100K, even if we only break it by $1,000, I'm not risking that. I'm out. I can always get back in as a trader. Now, the key here with the RSI is this 50% level right now. Because if we are going to come down, we would most likely reject this 50% level, come down into that oversold region, and potentially that's where we actually get the more meaningful bounce that gives us the bullish November. A lot of people thinking bullish December as well. We'll have to wait. That's too far away to tell for now. Now, when it comes to altcoins, that's a bit of a harder story. Bitcoin feels a little bit more easy to create the plan, but alts aren't so much. So when I'm having a look at the Bitcoin dominance, it's kind of quite funny. These two circles were circles that I had marked out the last time I talked about Bitcoin dominance on this channel, which was really quite a long time ago. And we had held the 800 EMA here. And I was first waiting to see if we got rejection at the 50, which we didn't. So then the next area became the 200, which obviously when we had that big liquidation event, you can see here that we spiked well and truly above it, but we closed back at it. So that's interesting to me. And now basically what we want to see is that we continue under the 200 EMA, create a lower high and continue to break down. If that happens, then alts will keep running. And to be honest, alts have had a pretty good weekend actually. So that's what we're looking for in order to gain confidence in our alts. Whether or not the cycle ends with Bitcoin and alts peaking at the exact same time or alts continue for a few weeks after, that remains to be seen because in past cycles, they have all ended at the same time and then other cycles kept going after Bitcoin created its all-time high. So we need to wait and see how we go there. But again, like I said, I don't think it's intelligent to be trying to pick the top. I think it's better to be DCAing out slowly if you believe we're closer to the top than we are to the bear market bottom, which for sure you believe that, right? When it comes to the USDT dominance, again, this was the liquidation spike. This was the area of interest. We're in the area of interest now. It's not good that we're creating higher highs and higher lows. We want to see that structure change. So we want to see it break down now and continue to move to the downside. Again, that's going to show us that people are happy to be risk on and they're back in Bitcoin and altcoins again. And then when we have a look at the total minus stable coins, we expected a correction anyway because we had our 3-level rises here. And then since then, which I haven't looked at this for quite some time actually, but since then we created the double top here, which is basically the M formation, which is the bearish formation. So now if you want your altcoins to keep going, we want to see this change structure from here. We've had a number of times that we've held the 200 EMA as support, one good sign, but remember what I just taught you about the 200 and the 50 EMA? We're right between them again here. So if we're to turn bullish on alts higher time frame, we really need to see this get back above the 50 EMA. And your key for the next couple of weeks is going to be watching this for a rejection of the 50 EMA. Because if we get a rejection, that would be bearish for your altcoins. Now, if you are looking for somewhere to trade, we've got an exclusive offer at the moment with BitGet just for Trade Travel Chill users. It's a VIP2 trial card and a $400 welcome bonus. Now, this promotion ends in 4 days. So if you're wanting to take advantage of it, definitely get onto it. With BitGet, you can trade spot futures, anything you want. I personally trade the coin join M futures on BitGet because it allows me to accumulate more of the actual asset that I want. And I can do that on super low leverage. So if you're interested in this, check out the link down below. People who use the links in the description of this video to join any of the exchanges either get a 20% trading fee rebate or they get a VIP2 rate for life. So both of them are quite good discounts off your trading fees, and you can check that out in the description down below. Now, I want to have a look at Ethereum as well on the higher time frame, and I'm also probably going to take a look at XRP because I think XRP's had a really good run this weekend. Now, again, won't go into too much detail because we know this already. If you're a regular watcher of this channel, you will know that we were expecting a correction on Ethereum because our 3-level rises were done, not just on ETH USDT, but also on ETH BTC. And ETH BTC is probably the more important one. So the ETH USDT price action is a little bit tricky now, like the range that it's creating. But when you look at ETH BTC, which is this one right here, you can see that our 3 levels played out. We were expecting a correction from there. And this correction that we're getting very much looks like a bull flag. So sometimes when you feel confused about price action on an asset, if you go and have a look at that same asset against BTC, it can become a lot clearer. So all we're really waiting for now is to see if we are going to get one more move down. This move might not be a low. It could end up being a double bottom that holds the 200 EMA, or it could end up being a higher low as well. You have to be open to all options on this because it is at the end. And the third option is that this flag is actually done and it's ready for breakout. So if it turns out to do that, that's actually very bullish. And on a higher low after the breakout is where you can get back involved in ETH. To me, I'm not personally looking for longs on ETH because I'm already long, but I am looking to add to my position and then ride that up to wherever I believe the cycle might top out. So now when I understand the ETH BTC chart, I can go back to the USDT chart. And I took the time earlier to map out the major zones of liquidity for Ethereum. For below price, we have around 3,200 to 3,390. Above price, we have 4,700 to 5.5. Now, 5.5 was actually my target for this cycle, so we'll see if we get there. We can also have a look for high-level sell orders for ETH in the heat maps, and we've got 4,150 currently and 4,300. If we're of the belief that we're going to get a new high on ETH, then we have sells waiting at the equal 5,000, which makes sense. It's a round number, but sometimes those round number orders can be a trick. Below price, we have buyers still waiting at about 3,500. So when we add that to the chart, that's what this looks like. So we've got the sell orders waiting at the 50 EMA, that's the red flag. We've got the buy orders waiting at the 200 EMA, that's the green flag. So whilst we're just right in the middle of the range, I think there's no new action to take. We're really just waiting to see how price reacts at either one of those zones. Now, I also want to take a look at XRP. Whilst this weekend it's had a really nice run, the pattern on it is really bearish. When we're talking macro, it's bearish, but it could be in the process of changing. So I'm open-minded about it. I did take a long after this liquidation event, but I'm monitoring that closely to decide if I need to take profits because this could be a breakdown of this support. The move, especially what we're seeing over the weekend, could be coming up just to test that support. Now, if we can't get back above that, we may reject there and we may be coming down for this zone of liquidity. So you got to watch this very, very carefully if you're in XRP right now. I'm not saying get out of it, but I would probably watch this entire zone right here as the week opens to see if there's any weakness. Potentially watch that on smaller timeframes. And if there is, that might be your hint to take profit if you did decide to go long after this liquidation event. Now, one other thing I do want to say about this liquidation event is I know a lot of people got really burned. I know a lot of people were not just trading it, but they were also trading bots on Pionex because there are a lot of channels that were talking about it at the time, let's be honest. I was also one of those channels and I did have bots available for people to copy. Now, if you are one of those people that were copying my bots, you also have access to my Discord channel where I give you updates on the bots. If you don't have that access, all you need to do is go to any one of my videos, can be this video, can be any one of my old videos, and you will see here that I've given you the information on how to get into that Discord. The reason why I want you to do that is because I have done something special for people who were copying my bots, and I don't want to say what it is publicly because I recently got banned for saying something similar on YouTube, so I don't want to risk it again. However, if you were copying my bots on PineX, jump into the Discord and look for this message and read through it, because I do believe that I'm one of the only KOLs out there who has put something together like this for you to help you recover. Now, in addition to that, in the channel as well, I have done some new bots, which you can see are going here. Not all of these have been released yet, but the safe ones have been. And so if you want to follow that message or you want to get involved in bots, because look, I still believe in bot trading. It wasn't because of bots that people got liquidated. Everyone got liquidated, even if you were a low leverage 2x trader, which is what a lot of these bots were only on 2 or 3x. Everybody got wiped out. So it wasn't a bot issue, it was a market issue. And I still personally believe in bots. However, I don't believe you should have more than 5% of your capital in total in bots at any one time. That's my belief, because if you got liquidated and you had that kind of risk management, 5% you can deal with. A lot of people, from what I'm hearing now, had their whole life savings in bots. That's stupid and that's never been advised. However, even though you did make that mistake, I did come up with a solution for you so that you can get back into them. These bots have been recreated, and if you're wanting to join PineX, you can get a 1,000 USDT bonus. The link is in the description down below. Just make sure if you are going to do that, that you at the very least get in the Discord so you can stay up to date with my update. Now, very quickly, I'm just going to go over Bitcoin on a small time frame. It was a very choppy week during the week, which again, the Friday strategy worked out last week. So I'm happy, because if you're following along with that, we're all in the trade now, right? So this was the Friday peak formation low. This was where we went long. We held that through the weekend trap, and even through this whipsaw price action, this entry was never invalidated. So our longs are good for now. Of course, I looked for the same hedge strategy this weekend, which is simply looking for the peak formation high on Friday in UK or US. So that stop hunt there, that was it. That would have been stopped out. So our hedge for this weekend has been stopped out. However, it doesn't matter because it's a hedge for this long position, which is still currently making us profit. Now, we are coming up to a very key area, as you will see right here with this last vector that rejected off the 800 EMA. So this could very well be the false move week beginning. You'll know that now if you go down to a smaller time frame and you see the structure change. You start to see maybe an M formation, or you might even see this, which is called a trapping volume formation in the opposite direction. There are many reversal formations, and to learn them all, you really need to get inside of TTC. I'm not going to go through all of them every single video. That means the video is going to be 3 hours long. But the moral of the story is, if you understand reversal patterns, you're looking for one around here. You're only going to act on confirmation, and that is because we are in the area of interest. Without confirmation, you've got no reason to exit your long. And now this is XRP. So again, same thing. We got the long on XRP at the peak formation low 2 Fridays ago. Hasn't been a reason to exit this trade yet. So regardless of news or whatever else has come out since, it doesn't matter. It drives our trade further. So we're sitting quite pretty on XRP. However, it is currently at its high of the week. This will change soon when Sunday 5 p.m. New York comes around. This level will change and the high of the week will go to the highest point from last week. But for now, it's at the high of the week of the last 2 weeks, and we're creating a double top there. So yeah, if we break through, just keep holding on to it. It's all fine. Once the new high of the week comes in, it's going to be here. So it's possible if we remain bullish, unless, because we've got the tariff stuff coming up, don't forget as well, the tariff deadline. So we have to be very careful about that. And we've probably got other news events, which I'll go through in a second. But pending Trump stuffing things up for us, a retest of the new high of the week could signal bullish continuation on XRP as well. All right, so let's have a look at our events coming up this week that we need to be aware of. Jared says the US government shutdown continues. No US government macro news. Current estimates expect the shutdown to last until at least mid-November. US government reopen headlines will be market-moving news whenever it happens. This week is all about central bank rate decisions for FOMC, Bank of Japan, and ECB. Wednesday, FOMC with Powell. The market is priced for a 25 basis point cut, and last week's CPI added support for the cut. The most important factor for FOMC is likely whether Fed officially stops their QT or signals it will stop at the December 10th FOMC. Expect volatility before and after. Wednesday, Bank of Japan rate decision. Thursday, ECB rate decision. Q3 US public company earnings continue. This week we have Meta, Amazon, Apple Coin, Microsoft, Google, PayPal, MicroStrategy. Friday is also the last trading day of the month for TradFi. End of the month capital flows can impact markets. So there you go. There's lots to keep an eye on this week. I think the main thing is that if you are a macro investor, if you're a spot investor, especially, don't think that you're safe. If your goal was to make money this cycle, then you have to start thinking now about your exit plan and executing on that exit plan. Whether we get extended cycle or not, you can always leave some money in the market to take advantage of that. But keeping everything in the market in hopes that we get an extended cycle, if you are relying on that to turn into more money, it can massively turn against you. So just remember, it's not a bad thing to take profits. Don't get married to price. Don't get married to time. Just get married to price action, how the market is moving. And if the market is telling you a story, you really need to listen if you want to get out profits.